Alright guys, welcome to another episode of the Shake 'em Bake. On this episode, we come back to the bobber and I'm going to bring you guys my personal 10,000 plus mile review on this thing. I've had it for pretty much 11 months now, getting to the 1 year mark, but I've already put a good amount of miles on this baby, and I'm on the point where I really need to replace this fucking rear tire because this thing is like a fucking semi-slick right now. But yeah, I've achieved what people consider the impossible. I've put 10,000 miles on a stock rear tire, which is pretty much fucking insane. And it's a lot of driving involved there, so a lot of riding involved. So anyway, I want to give you guys some of the good things and some of the bad things of the Indian Scout bobber. And like I said, I've put 10,000 miles on it, actually, just so you guys can see, prove it to y'all. There it is. 10,675 miles, and overall my impressions initially with the bike were really positive, but I do have some negative things that I gotta kind of bring to your attention, having ridden it for about a year. So one thing that I really think that they could definitely do much better is the front brake. In my opinion, the front brake is kind of like pretty weak. I think that they could do a much better job. I find myself using a lot more front brake than I need to. I really wish that they had like a dual piston setup in the front, like you see with Harley Davidson's, Dynas, and other models. So I really think that they can upgrade the front braking. The rear brake on the foot is actually really good. I find myself using that a lot more sometimes just because I like how the bike slows down quicker. And getting more of the front brake involved is always necessary, obviously, when you're braking, but I really wish it was a little more bite. Another thing that I don't like too much about the bike, I mean, it has amazing handling characteristics, don't get me wrong. The bike is like really nimble, you can chuck it super easily, but I really wish that the ground clearance was better, because once you start leaning into that turn, you're already scraping pegs, and if you lean far enough into that turn, especially if you're making a right turn, you're gonna start scraping your exhaust on the right side of the motorcycle. So I do love the bike's nimbleness, but I do really think that it suffers a lot from the ground clearance, especially when you're making a right turn, because yeah, you can grind peg and, like, you know, lift your foot off of it a little bit. If you go too far, you're gonna start hitting that exhaust. So the lean angle isn't really that good. I understand it's not like a super sport or a sport bike, but I really wish it had a little bit more lean angle before you hit the pegs. But other than that, I mean, like, the bike, in my opinion, like I said, I got 10,000 miles on it, and all I've done is oil changes. I shit you not. Like, I've done 3 oil changes on the bike so far, have luckily not had to do anything else. The front brake pads are good, the rotors are good, the tension on the actual, on the belt, the drive sprocket is good. I always check it. Bike has been like 100% reliable, starts up every single morning, no problems whatsoever at all. Battery's been good. Love the bike. Suspension feels great after upgrading the rear suspension to the progressives. I've never had any issues with my spine being jarred. Obviously, the seat helps a lot, the Corbin seat. A lot of positives about the bike though too is just the linear power band. I love how that power band is very linear. You got the torque on the bottom end, and as you build up the revs to like 8,000 RPMs, you definitely get that horsepower kicking in, and the bike is just like a rocket. Although riding it for so long, I've gotten used to the power, and I really feel like the bike could use a little bit more power. Obviously, you can upgrade, you know, the air filter can be upgraded to high flow one, change the tune on it, get more power out of it. But the stock platform, once you get used to that power band and the power level, it starts to be feeling a little bit on the weak side. But the power band's great, and the bike itself is awesome. But like I said, nothing major at all. I've just been riding this thing, enjoying it, doing the oil changes. I need to get a new rear tire, obviously. Another really good thing about this motorcycle is the shifting. This shifting is super crisp, super quick, instant, and it really takes no effort, just a little quick tap up or a tap down. I love how the transmission on these bikes work. They feel really, really smooth, and it's, you know, a good progressive shift. You have to actually kind of commit to it, but once you're there, you can shift really quickly. I find myself shifting up the gears super quick. Also, a lot of people bitch and complain about the bike having an actual cable clutch. Sometimes you see motorcycles with a hydraulic clutch. This is actually really like simple. I mean, like, I love the fact that this is like low maintenance. Honestly, like, it's got a little firm feel to it, but I can't see how someone can get like tired from using it. I really love the cable clutch on this motorcycle. I think Indian upgraded the cable clutches, because I heard a lot of people talking about the stock cable clutches going out or failing. This thing's lasted me a lot already, basically, you know, 10,000 miles. And all I had to do was adjust it one time after I bought the bike from the dealership. It wasn't properly adjusted. I adjusted it once and it's been great since then. Another thing that I can kind of think of as a negative, but it's not really a big negative to me, is the distance that you get out of the full tank. So some people might bitch and complain that, like, you know, this tank only carries, like, you know, enough to get you about 100 miles, depending on your riding. But yeah, like 100 to 120 miles is the most, and then you get your tank, the light, the low fuel light to come on. But it's not like a big, you know, bagger or touring bike. So for around town and for, like, you know, bar hopping, that's plenty of range on the tank. So I don't know, like, what people complaining about the range. I think it's great. It lasts me about 3 to 4 days of commuting, and I commute about like 15 miles to work, to and from. And then I fill it up. It only costs $9 premium, and tank's filled up again. I do love the fact that, like I said, the power plant here, it's basically engine, primary, and transmission, all three, same fluid. Whenever I change the oil, I'm changing the oil on the transmission, the primary, and the engine. So I love the fact that it's all one assembly. It's basically driven by gears, so the engine output is driven through the gear set to drive the transmission. I mean, that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, the bike's been really reliable, and I really think that, like, anybody who wants to get into motorcycles, this is a great starter bike. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. This is an amazing starter bike. It's not too much bike. That's bullshit. It's just the right amount of bike. You just have to grow a pair of balls, get out there, ride, enjoy life. And thank you guys for sticking through the video, and appreciate all the support and all the comments that you guys gave us on the first video. That first video definitely was an experimental video, and a lot of you guys loved it. Made a lot of people happy. It pissed off a lot of people too, so that's awesome. Picking up pussy's pretty easy on this thing, dude. You just throw it right here. To go pussy. Thank you guys. Stay tuned for the next episode. We're here in downtown Los Angeles. We're gonna go grab some beers, enjoy life. Later, guys.
Like, subscribe, and comment, baby. There you go.